How can you get an avoidant man to bond with you in the bedroom through great sex? Is it a problem if you ask him for your sexual needs? And if you're trying to conceive a baby, how important is it for you to make sure you're having an orgasm? Hey guys, I brought on an expert today because so many of you have written in the comment sections asking me exactly how attachment issues can impact your fertility, your sexual pleasure, the health of your baby, your breastfeeding experience, and everything that's involved around parenting, around your body, and around everything in there. You know that a few weeks back, I had Dr. Sue Carter, the leading world expert about oxytocin and vasopressin bonding on, and she shared so much information with us. I recommend you check out that episode if you missed it. But today, I wanted to bring on someone who is practical, who is in the field, who is working with oxytocin and other chemicals in a way nobody else is. I was on her TV show recently. She is starting a new wave of good, genuine health for people. She's also creating, and I should say leveraging, a method that is more effective than IVF at creating a robust, healthy child, even for women who have fertility challenges. It's not a one size fits all, but it seems so far like one of the best fertility methods I have ever heard of in my life. Let's welcome Jessica Preston to the show. Jessica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam.
Today, I want to introduce you to my audience because they're wonderful out there. Hey, everybody out there. A lot of them who are listening right now are ladies at home who've been struggling with anxiety most of their lives, especially in relationships. We call it anxious attachment style, something I know you're familiar with. They are anxiously attached or have been in the past. They have a lot of challenges around sharing their needs in relationships, around articulating their desires. Sometimes sex is a challenge for them. Many of them, how do I want to say this carefully? Ladies, forgive me if this doesn't come out right. Many of them are used to sacrificing their own pleasure in the bedroom, especially to make their partner feel loved, to try to maintain and sustain a relationship. It's very, very challenging for them to find that joy. And then many of them have what we would probably consider an oxytocin deficiency, where they exhibit the signs of it: more mechanical behavior, less happiness, less GABA. So they have more cortisol spiking in their system, and they really crave that connection with a partner. But unfortunately, they often go to avoidantly attached men who don't really understand their needs or won't meet their needs. So then if they have fertility challenges, yeah, of course, that's going to go along. It's going to be right in your wheelhouse to share why that's happening. But fertility challenges, pregnancy challenges, breastfeeding challenges, this is something that I've explored in my work with clients, but it's not something I get to talk about very much here on this channel. So I am so thrilled to have you here. Could you please really quick explain just a little bit about what you do to the audience, because there's so many things that you do.
Yes, thank you so much, Adam. So I have spent the majority of my career in medicine. So I'm a physician assistant working in obstetrics and gynecology. My background's biochemistry, so I went into functional medicine, and I started noticing that I was helping people make healthier babies by optimizing egg and sperm health and reversing infertility. And so we have this entire program that we've put together. We are nationwide. We have small programs to large programs, helping people conceive and helping people that are struggling with conception and that aren't struggling with conception, because everybody wants that healthy baby and to have that healthy relationship. And a big focus that we have is on that relationship itself. We want to help those partners really bond and connect so that they can have a solid foundation for their growing baby, happy, healthy, safe, emotionally safe home to be able to raise your children, ripple effect that out into society and make a change in that space. Also, so that we can, when our babies leave the nest at 18 or older, then we can return back to that loving space of connection that we had prior to bringing those babies into our home, so that we can continue with that same nurturing, deep, loving relationship throughout the rest of our lives.
Now, you said something in there that's very, very crucial. A lot of women today struggle with healthy eggs. Sometimes that's from chemicals. I've heard it can be from birth control. I'd love to hear a little bit about that maybe from you. But so many women, they go through their 20s. They can't connect to the right guy. They're waiting. They're being responsible. They're trying. Maybe they're 29, 30, 31, 35. They're somewhere in that window. Now they're really worrying about the health of their eggs. They're worrying about finding the right partner. I have heard it said before, and I don't think I agree with this, but I'd love to hear your take on the science. I've heard here in America, the message seems to be, well, the health of your eggs, it's kind of what you have. They get really hurt or they're damaged somehow and you can't really fix it. We need to do full IVF. Here's the number, put your credit card in. That's a lot of the messaging that women seem to get is you're screwed if your eggs aren't healthy anymore. Is that true?
No, no, not at all. And I would love to debunk that right now. So there is one test called AMH that women tend to do to talk about egg reserve, and it's a general test. And if you're a low number, your provider will frequently say your egg reserve is low, or you have unhealthy eggs, or you are less likely to conceive on your own and move you quickly to IVF. Now, having been in conventional medicine for 20 years, I do understand that push because we want to make sure that you have a baby if you want one. So the urgency is yours and the urgency is also ours. So that's why your provider who really does care for your outcome is going to try to move you along that track quickly to get to IVF. And then at IVF, they are with their structures and with their research, which is very much in that conventional space, and they have the way that they can help you make a baby. Now, there is some literature that says that we can have a slight increased risk of autism in our babies with IVF, specifically ICSI, where sperm is injected into the egg. And then there was literature that was brought out November of 2023 that said those of us with subfertility, so a little less likely to conceive, also have a slight increased risk of autism in our babies. And we attribute that a lot to egg and sperm health in a lot of ways. So the question is then, should we be concerned? And the answer is mindfully, yes. But there are things we can do. And a lot of those are found in the functional medicine realm, which is more lifestyle medicine based. And I think a lot of people are concerned when you hear lifestyle medicine, it sounds like it's a little frou-frou, but it's not. And when we think about conventional medicine and we say, okay, your cholesterol is high, our first thing that we do is we put you on a low cholesterol diet or we change your nutrition plan, and that works. It works in conventional medicine, it works in functional medicine, and it works for your egg and sperm health. So we can actually take that number I was talking about, that AMH, if it's low, and we can actually make that number increase. We can improve the health of your egg and your sperm. Now, for eggs, it takes 90 days, and for sperm, it takes 72 days. So we really want you to implement those lifestyle changes, and we want you to do those consistently for 3 months. Optimally 6, but we really can't in our program get people to wait that long. So as long as I can get you to wait 3 months, then we have a much better possibility of healthier egg and sperm, healthier baby.
So if a woman comes into you, let's say she's 35, she's found the right partner, they just got married, maybe they beat those odds, they're happy together, they want to have a baby, and a doctor has told her that she has very poor egg health. Mm-hmm. Is she screwed? I mean, if she comes to you, is there no hope?
No. First thing that we say is, okay, let's get started now. We need to start optimizing where things are for your egg and sperm health. But no, we are absolutely able to improve the health of egg and sperm. So let's talk about a few of those methods so it doesn't sound like magic. Does that sound?
Yeah, I know. Because everyone at home, so a lot of people, religious people in particular, are very uncomfortable with IVF. It's one thing I love about your method is it is 100% ethical, natural. It is fully in line with everything that a religious person could really follow and get behind. We should all actually be doing your method right now. Even if we're not trying to conceive, we should be living to your methods because I've studied them a bit. They're phenomenal. But along with that, we really need a little bit more detail. What can women look at? What can they expect here about your method?
Okay, so what we're looking at 5 different factors. So we're looking at your nutrition. What you put in your body is important. If you think of it like this, we need to have vitamins in our body. Some women have heard of folic acid in your prenatal vitamin. We use a form called methylfolate, which is basically primed and ready for your body to be able to be optimized for egg and sperm health. But with folic acid, we need a certain amount to prevent neural tube defects, spina bifida, for example. That we know in conventional medicine, that is a nutrition aspect. Yes, we take a prenatal vitamin, but there are also things that we can do in nutrition to optimize those nutrients. So we remove things that cause inflammation because inflammation gets in the way of getting pregnant too. So I want to make it very simple. When we have inflammation in our body from the foods we eat cause inflammation. So think of it as like processed food or colors foods have, dyes and artificial substances that actually our body has to respond to because it's not natural, causes an inflammatory response. When we have an inflammatory response, that causes a cascade that decreases our fertility. So when it comes to nutrition, we remove the inflammatory things and we replace them with things that are nutritious and very healthy for egg and sperm health for you and for your body and your baby. So the next thing that we look at is stress. We have to manage your stress. If our stress is high, and I know we're going to go deep into this because this is that anxious attachment style where we feel a little bit of stress all the time, and that we need to find a way to address. Nothing is magic. There are ways that we can get in there and address these easily to make you feel safe in your nervous system, feel calm so you aren't feeling out of control in that. When we are stressed, cortisol goes up, and that is a stress hormone. And when that goes up, our female sex hormones that help us with fertility go down and make us less fertile. So we do actually have to make a change in that. So we address that in stress. Let's talk back at nutrition because all of these things connect together like this. So in nutrition, if I don't make sure that you have all of your B vitamins, we need the B vitamins to make serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine. So to feel happy, secure, healthy, we need those to be made. So that's our nutrition and stress go together. When our stress is lower, we make better food choices. Then we look at sleep. If we don't get enough sleep, we'll focus on men for a minute. Men need 7 to 8 hours sleep to make testosterone. We need testosterone to make sperm. So, and to be fertile. So if we don't get appropriate amount of sleep, and for women, if it's not enough, our progesterone goes down. Then we end up with luteal phase defects, for example, where our cycles are shorter than 28 days. And that's becoming more and more common. If your cycle's shorter than 28 days, you don't have enough time for implantation to occur. So we need to lengthen that. How can we lengthen that? We can lengthen that with your nutrition, your stress, and improving your sleep. And we do it within 3 months. So with that, you could have 10 years, you could have a 24, 26-day cycle. And within 3 months, we can basically get you set. So if you do what you're supposed to do.
One big problem I've seen a lot, and I'm going to be sensitive here, but I know a lot of the women in the audience have experienced this, is a lot of anxiously attached women have exactly that problem you talked about. Their hormones go way down, their fertility goes way down. So even if when they do conceive, their rate of miscarriages is much higher among women who have chronic anxiety. Anxious attachment style actually increases your risk of miscarriages. Ladies, just look it up, please. Just keep yourself educated on it. It's really painful. I'm going to be sensitive here to this, but does your method improve that? Does it cut down risks of miscarriages, for example?
Yes. And I want to be cautious. Yes, 100% yes. But I want to be cautious on how we approach this because I want everyone to understand it's not the anxiety itself that is causing your miscarriage. Because what happens is we feel anxious when we're early pregnant and we're trying to conceive. And then we say, my stress is going to cause me to miscarry. My stress is going to cause me to miscarry. That's not what is causing you to miscarry. It's the cascade effect of what happens internally from the stress. So as long as we get some tools on board to be able to manage that stress, it's okay to feel. I'm not trying to get you to avoid feeling that anxiety. Actually, I would like you to feel the anxiety. I would like you to notice you're feeling the anxiety. And then I'd like us to give you some tools to help you feel less anxiety that will make you feel better in 1 minute, 2 minutes. And we can talk about some of those today. So let's talk about one right now. I don't want people to have to wait, when is this coming up? So vagus nerve, which is basically the nerve that is controlling our parasympathetic, which is our rest, digest, and procreate. So that's what we need to be in more of in order to conceive. So if we're feeling really stressed, if we can stop and notice we're feeling anxious, just notice you're feeling anxious. Even notice where it is in your body. Frequently it's here. It's like right here in our chest. Sometimes it's in our stomach. Wherever it is, you can put your hand on it. Just stop. Notice that you're feeling stressed. Take a deep breath in. Breathe in a little more. And exhale longer than your inhale. Do that 3 times. It's a physiologic sigh. It will help you reset into your parasympathetic. Okay, so notice that anxiety. Stop. I'm feeling anxious. What do I need to do? Locate it in my body. Put your hand where it is so you can feel it. Okay, this is somatics. We're going to feel where it is. Do 3 physiologic sighs and just move forward. If that's not enough, I have one more thing. So your ears here. So you can see your ears. What I want you to do is I want you to massage down your ears like this. So you can just massage your ears when you're feeling stressed like this. This is another thing that's going to put you more in parasympathetic. Deep breath in and out. Just do it for half a minute or so. It's going to make a difference. So those are 2 tools that you can use right now. So back to the topic, we can see that anxiety can cause that increase. So we want to help manage the anxiety piece, which brings us to another component. What we work on is relationships. So it is actually my favorite part of our program. The other one we didn't mention, if you're curious about the 5, is exercise. There's a certain type of exercise when trying to conceive that you need to do as women, and a different type for men. So we address that. But relationships are my favorite piece because it really is about connecting with that person who you're going to make a baby with. And it is a big challenge because the one person we're connecting with that we want to have our family with is the one person who we have the most at risk with. So that's when we're so challenged with our attachment styles.
I want to jump into this relationship piece with you here in a moment. But first, I have one more question because you touched on this a little bit earlier and you said something really fascinating to me. A lot of women are so focused on the conceiving part and then the keeping it part, right? Conceive the baby, keep the baby, bear the baby full term. They're so focused in on that and then they hope that it's going to go well after that. But you said something interesting earlier about creating healthier children who have longer term, better outcomes. You mentioned to me something just before we started recording that 2025 is the year of a healthy baby. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, 2025, the year of the healthy baby. So we've been seeing this increase in autism risk. So in 2000, it was 1 in 150. In 2010, it was 1 in 68. And in 2020, it was 1 in 36. So our trajectory of this, and when we look at autism, one of the big risks that we know is the egg health and sperm health. So we decided we primarily started off as an infertility organization. We have an 80% success rate. That's even with women who failed IVF. So we love the work that we're doing in that space, but watching the trajectory of how things are changing for healthy baby. We get married, we want to have a baby. When I was in medical practice for 20 years, first thing I would hear, when people say, what do you want? What do you want to have? I just want a healthy baby. You want a boy or girl? I just want a healthy baby. It doesn't matter. And I had more women coming to me saying, I'm getting married in 6 months. What can I do? We're going to try right away. Because as you mentioned, we are waiting longer and longer to get married. What can I do for my body to prepare? And a lot of people say start a prenatal or don't worry about it. And we have an entire preparation to make this healthy baby. And we are watching those babies as they are born and following them to the age of 9 so that we can watch that trajectory of autism tick down. So we decided we're going to formulate an entire new program that is affordable for everybody. It's an automated program, but you do have access to us on a private group where basically people can learn all of these skills that help optimize your egg and sperm health to have that healthy baby. So we are doing a massive push right now to see, we want everybody on our platform preparing for 2025 to be the year of the healthy baby so that every baby that is born is going to be healthy and thriving into a healthy and thriving family.
I love that so much. I got 5 kids of my own and thank God they're all very, very healthy. If they weren't, we would all have taken care of them together. But it is a hardship for families when a baby's born not healthy. I know that through IVF, I've seen a lot of babies be born not healthy. So I'm thrilled, actually, that you said 2 cool things. Yes, more robust, healthier, long-term outcomes for children. And then you said something in there that even women who can't succeed through IVF can often succeed through your method. That's phenomenal. You're giving hope to women that the system has told they don't have hope, just give up and go adopt, or give up and just do nothing. Really, it's wonderful to hear that you're giving these options to women. I love this so much. So thank you. Relationships. One thing that really drew me to you when I started talking to you, I learned about you, everything about you, is you are so relationship oriented during the conception phase. And it was like, finally, somebody is sharing this information. So much focuses on the woman. Like, okay, here's what you need to do inside your body prior to conceiving. And then you just sort of lay there and nature will take its course and then you're pregnant. And I know that's not true from all the work that I've done with so many of my clients through educating them about her pleasure and how that's incorporated in it. But the trust factor, the connection between them, the emotional intimacy, how, foreplay is so important during the conception process, how aftercare is so important for it. And then maintaining her healthy pregnancy, just a couple minutes a day of touch points and connection, but really fixing those attachment issues. All of that weaves together into this beautiful human fertility pattern that we look at and say, okay, this is how humans are supposed to work. Talk to us for a little bit about the ladies at home who maybe they've been trying to conceive with a partner. Maybe let's say he's an avoidant man. They're married. They're not unhappy, but they're not necessarily emotionally intimate. And she's really, really, really wanting to have that child. Maybe she feels a little bit of guilt or shame that she hasn't been able to have it yet. And it's her fault. She's feeling like now her shame is adding like, look, this is the reason no one loves me. I can't even do this right. A lot of the women are battling this with this at home. What are some things you might tell them in their relationship that could be more helpful for the conception?
Thank you for that. That's a wonderful question, Adam. So, first, I want to share that it is not easy to get pregnant no matter what. So we are told while we are growing up, while we are abstaining before marriage, well, don't get pregnant, don't have sex, don't anything, and then we switch over into the next day we're married, and everyone's like, when are you gonna have a baby? There's always pressure, right? So no matter what, it's our parental unit, our best friends, right? Those are the people that are saying, when is this happening for you? And it's like, give me a day to even get my mindset. So we have to first of all understand and give kindness to ourselves that we were just told for the first half, or up until this time, don't have sex and don't get pregnant no matter what you do. And so now we have to switch gears. That takes a little time. Be kind to yourself in that. It does cause some confusion, even when we're not aware of it. It's a subconscious confusion. So allow yourself to kind of settle into that space and just say, okay, this is where I am now. Have a little joke with yourself or with your partner, like, well, to have this exact conversation, we were supposed to don't do it do it now, when am I going to have 5 grandbabies or 3 grandbabies? And so just so you know, it's not as easy. And so what we have to do is fix our mindset and then have good communication. And that communication is so important. So let's talk a little bit about that. And please stop me at any time when you know your audience best. I'm happy to switch gears however you would like. So when it comes to being in that relationship, and now I'm going to go from exactly what you said. If we have an anxious woman and an avoidant male. So we already know our avoidant male, we have to pick our battles on how we're going to have conversation. When is that conversation going to occur? And so what we have to remember is where they are is, okay, how many words can they hear? We've heard this a lot, right? How many words can an avoidant man hear before they shut down and move away? I want you to not focus on that to start. I want you to focus on yourself and think about, where am I feeling in this space? Because as an anxious person who's going to be housing a baby and being the best mom that you can be, I want you to think about you and where is that love space. We can bring oxytocin and right at exactly the same time, because a great way for us to nurture oxytocin in ourselves is with that self-love. And it doesn't have to be the hardcore. I'm not going to say you have to sit there in front of the mirror and say, I love you to yourself. I'm not saying that at all. Let's be practical about this. As a mom, what do I love? I love the idea of holding my baby. I love that. Picture that. Oh, my baby, if you're breastfeeding or not breastfeeding choices, so I love the watching my baby sleep. I love how sweet they look. I love seeing that first smile. of my baby. I love that. Think about all of those things that are loving to you and make you feel love. So let's just release some oxytocin of your own. So that in itself, if you can sit in that space, whether it's meditative or thoughtfulness or prayer, or just sitting and being just cognitive about it, that helps release oxytocin. So some other thing, and oxytocin is important that we have, make it part of your job, which we can do when women are anxious. Let's have a task to do, right? So I'm not going to make you do all of this deep dive into your inner child. We can do that too. We do that work too. But let's just talk about how we can get your oxytocin. Let's manage your chemistry. Let's get you in a spot where you can feel that love. Because the beautiful thing about oxytocin is when you feel oxytocin, you feel love, happiness, and safety. And when you feel those things, your nervous system is in parasympathetic, which is the space you need to be to have a baby.
I'm going to get into this because a lot of the women in this audience, they struggle in the bedroom because they don't want to wreck things for him, mess up his pleasure. They don't want to seem like a burden or seem needy or demanding. So they go into the bedroom experience. They just want to feel loved and feel close. And they're with an avoidant man who may or may not feel that. And she may not know how to articulate her needs. She's embarrassed. It's uncomfortable. She's afraid of ruining sex for him. So a lot of them go in and have, shall we say, subpar sexual experiences as they're trying to conceive. And that's, I don't think most of them are tracking why that's a problem. And I think most of them really think that their avoidant man doesn't care if she's going to feel any joy or pleasure during it. She's just like, all right, get it done. And hopefully there's a baby at the end of it. Can you talk to this? Can you talk to as a woman, because I'm not a woman, obviously, in this aspect, maybe they'll listen to you. Do you feel that they should be, or do you encourage your clients to go in to talk to him, to share their sexual desires? Do you think that avoidant men care or don't care?
I say to every single one of those women, they all care. If anything, an avoidant man cares more in the bedroom than anywhere else. It's a place where they can allow themselves that pleasure. This is where they are going to meet you, hands down. They are going to meet you here. So I think as long as you're not saying, right beforehand, you're not saying, hey, can we talk about all of my feelings and how that is related to, and this isn't the space for that. Make this about pleasure. This is all about your pleasure. This is all about his pleasure. And that he'll be like, yeah, baby, this is exactly what I want. It's exactly what they want. You're not doing anything wrong. As a matter of fact, if you were to ask for more in the sense of pleasure, this would boost them up even more. They will want you even more. You will see more. If you take a chance on this, take a little chance, try something. You're going to see more aliveness in your avoidant man than you have anywhere else when you do this. And there are things we can talk about. So these are things that I encourage my clients with. I recommend if you're willing to send a little dirty text, okay, send up to you on what dirty means, send even just something like, I was thinking about you all morning is good enough. You can do, if you know that his morning meeting is ending at 10 o'clock and then he has a 15-minute break. And so his mind isn't going to be elsewhere. And frankly, I wouldn't even mind sending something if his mind is elsewhere until he says otherwise. So something that's cute and flirty, lingerie is a good thing, so that can be a cue. Also, if you're not very verbal, you could wear lingerie on the days that you are feeling a little bit more intimate. You could do that. You were talking about foreplay. So foreplay can be, foreplay takes place from the last second of your last sexual interaction until the first second of your next one. So that includes this flirting. It can be, running your hand down his arm. It can be snuggling and watching TV. It can be any of those things. Foreplay can also be self-pleasure. So in the sense of if he leaves in the morning and you're still home in bed, and it can just be even running your hands down your arms, feeling a certain way where, we all love tactile touch in some degree or another. For men, avoidant men in particular, I think touch is a primary love language where that's something that speaks to them. That's something that they can hear more than anything else. But even doing this on your own self in the morning or scrunching your toes in the sheets if they feel really good and just feeling good in your body can help you release oxytocin. The more oxytocin we have released, the more we make, because the more is released, the safer, happier we are, which means it's easier for us to have our next burst of oxytocin, which is helpful for relationship and connection. Also, when our oxytocin is up, it's basically an inhibitor of cortisol indirectly, but it basically decreases how much cortisol can be released. So if you make it your job to actually feel pleasure in some way, and it's your own pleasure, this involve him to some extent at some point, but you are there without him how much of the day, and he's there at the end of the day. Own this for yourself. Feel good in your own skin. And that could be, hugging, touching yourself. It can be petting your dog. It can be playing with your kids. It can be having coffee with a girlfriend. It can be just thinking joyful thoughts, remembering things that are make you happy. All of these things can be helpful with that oxytocin. Then we feel safer in our nervous system. Then we feel more secure in our space. And then we have easier communication with our partner. So back to that communication piece. And I know I kind of detoured a little bit there for a minute, but I want us to have those tools because I think it's hard for us to say, this is how you can speak to him. Because if we aren't feeling safe and secure, no matter what words are coming out of our mouths, he's going to feel the energy of that and he's going to potentially turn away. Okay. And so what we want is to be really solidly in our own skin so that when we say something, even when we say to our partner, babe, you know what? I'm feeling a certain kind of way. I'm feeling unsettled. Do you have some time that this is what I'm feeling unsettled about. We had a conversation. So it helps to name it, because otherwise he's deer in the headlights. I don't know what she wants to talk to me about. Right. So, we had a conversation on Sunday and you said this to me. And I haven't been able to get it off of my heart. I'm feeling heavy-hearted about this right now. Can we sit down and talk about it? Don't hit him with this right when he walks in the door. Give him the option, is now a good time? Give him the option to say, no, it's not a good time. And if it's not a good time, understand it is not a good time for you. If it's not a good time for him, it is not a good time for you, because that means he's not going to respond well. So then you can say, when is a good time? Encourage him in learning this communication style for him to then say, this would be a good time. You have to learn this. You can say, babe, I learned about something called imago, I-M-A-G-O, imago dialogue, or nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg's work. Those are the two kinds of communication I'm talking about. Say, I learned about this today. It's a way that we can talk to each other where we are both receiving what each other is saying without feeling it's accusatory. Let's try it. Let's try it. Most people will be a little curious and some might be a little turning away, but they love you. They're your partner. They want this with you. So they will find a way. So back to the statement of, is now a good time? I'm going to say, babe, I just walked in the door. I need about an hour to settle down. How about 8:00? And then you say, okay. And then you both need to stick with that term of 8:00 and then have this conversation where you listen to each other and find a way to communicate softly. I really highly would look into these methods of communication so you can learn how to do so. We do teach them in our program. Otherwise, you can find them online. So you can do that. And then once you've had one conversation like that, you both feel a little more safe and secure in your nervous system. And then you can have another conversation like that. And so that's how you can build. Now, bedroom. I know I'm a little all over, but I want to go back to that bedroom space. So you're going to find that nice, safe space for yourself. What do I want in the bedroom? And then whatever you bring, he's going to be game. He's totally going to be game. Once again, remember, if he's got a big meeting tomorrow that he's been preparing for all week, maybe tonight's not the night. Now, might be the night that you want this to be, but that might be the night that you just work on each other's oxytocin. You just give him a shoulder rub, and so he can feel that oxytocin release himself. Or you just snuggle on the couch for a half hour. You just snuggle in bed that night without any other expectation. And then you can build that oxytocin until the next night when you can celebrate that presentation he just did that day with him.
Fully agreed. I think that most women miss the point. Unfortunately, they think that going into the bedroom means doing things that he will enjoy and that he is supposed to be the one who's having a good time. But the woman being enthusiastic and pleasured is so important that when a woman makes a video about this behavior, she has to pretend to be pleasured and enthusiastic. That's how important it is to men in that regard. So I think that if the woman is going in making it all about him, usually that's actually what ruins a lot of their sex life, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Number one for men is seeing that you're enjoying yourself. I mean, no matter what attachment style that man has, it is number one, because otherwise they don't know if they're giving you pleasure. They're unsure. And as a matter of fact, they're pretty sure they're not. So if you can get out of that mindset and just say, how am I going to enjoy this pleasurable moment most? That's what you want as a woman. How am I going to enhance my pleasure? And if you were to say or send something like, hey, you know what? I found this toy, or I found this, whatever it may be. Do you have any interest? Try it. I don't know a single man that's going to say no. Or just, if you don't want to say the words, just bring it and put it on the bedstand. Put it there. Massage oil candles. They're candles that you can light and it turns into massage oil. Put it next to the bed and light that. If you're not very verbal, that would become a message. You do it once, he's going to come to bed, he's going to see a candle, he's not used to them. What is that? He'll read it, he'll say, oh. You don't have to speak a lot. You don't actually have to say a lot of words, so you don't have as much at risk. You can just simply leave cues and start the nonverbal communication with your partner. And if they understand, though, if they don't see it, it doesn't mean that they are ignoring it or they don't want you. They may have just not seen it. So you might have to test that a little bit. Like, maybe he didn't see the candle, or maybe you didn't light it, light the candle and babe, did you notice the candle? Oh yeah, I noticed the candle. Well, maybe they're a little bit distracted by something else. Read your partner to see, but take a chance every so often and say, well, it's a massage oil candle, no pressure. But if you'd like a massage tonight, this is already warmed up and ready for you. And I don't know many men that are going to say no, but if he says no, there's something heavy here. It's not you. There's something on his mind. It's not you. So that's something that we really need to be aware of. Men are very busy, basically career first, usually, or what they're doing in the world. And then we are the person that is standing by them and supporting them. And in supporting them, that comes around a lot of different ways. A lot of it in that communication, you need to figure out when can they hear you and when can they not. It's kind of our job to be able to figure out those cues, just as it is their job to figure out ours.
I love this. I will say this. I'm not a big advocate for having text conversations necessarily about the big stuff, but if you're nonverbal about asking for things, a lot of women do have more success shooting a text to him or even saying, hey, texting him, I have a hard time asking for things. He's going to go, yeah, I know. So you say, if I text you, is that easier? He could say, yeah, cool. So that you can text him little things. You put the candle on the bedside table, take a picture of it, send him the picture so he sees it. He now has a picture of it. And you say, we could use this tonight if you want to. And just leave it there. The toy, the lingerie, the whatever it is, take a picture. We could use this tonight if you want to. See what he does.
Or I would even say you can do less. If you want to do less, light the candle, take a picture of the candle because it says massage oil candle right on it, and just send the picture. You're not at risk. And if there's no response at all, don't worry. Men tend to not respond during the day, and it's perfectly fine. If he comes home and he's like, you'll notice a difference in if he noticed it, you'll notice it. Or he'll go to the bedroom and he'll be like, where's the candle? Or if there's nothing until after dinner or bedtime, because that's where he's compartmentalized. He's compartmentalized with his other things during the day. But that time in the evening is yours. If he comes to the bedroom and you see him looking around for that candle, oh yeah, he's looking for that candle. So then you've gotten somewhere, even if it's a little move, even if you don't use the massage candle that night, then I can send you like the links of the ones that I have, and then you could always send them to your people. I mean, there's no commission anywhere. I don't have any discounts, but I love these. I mean, they're wonderful. I've used these. These are a great cue to be able to help you with that nonverbal piece as you're learning to connect more with your partner.
Yeah. Touch is mandatory when it comes to this. Articulating your needs is mandatory. I will say that if she takes a picture of a new toy or something in the package holding it and sends it to him, he's probably coming home on lunch. He's probably not waiting until later that day after all his brain has cleared out. His brain has lost all of its blood supply and he's probably now rushing home in traffic. So generally speaking, ladies out there, be aware that, how do I say this? I want to say this delicately. a lot of women hold back on their own sexual pleasure and they hold back on engaging sexually with their partner. And what happens is you lose your opportunity for joy and pleasure, but also so do they. And over time, what I've seen quite often is that a woman being very, very hesitant and pulling back in the bedroom is perceived as rejection by the man. So then he stops asking. And then she starts being sad that he has stopped asking and thinks he's no longer interested. So she pulls back as well. And that's why I get clients who come in who haven't had sex. They have sex once a year for the last 10 years. Then they come in and say, Adam, we don't understand what's going on. It's usually a lack of communication, a lack of asking, and a lack of just discussion. So ladies out there, if you're feeling like your needs are a burden, they're not. Avoidant guys, I know you're watching this secretly. Love you guys. Please pop into the comment section and let these ladies know. If a woman asks you in the bedroom for something, is it a massive turnoff? If she's exploring pleasure with you, are you angry? Are you disgusted? Are you annoyed? Are you just there to get the job done and get out? Or is this something that you're actually seeking? Avoidant guys in particular, the anxious women you've been with, is it a turn on that they're just quiet and have no needs? Or is it a turn off when they don't have those needs and they don't share with you? I'd love to hear that in the comments section. Jessica, some things that I know you talk about that I'd love to hammer really hard right here. And you know that I teach a lot on this is fixing attachment problems, not staying stuck in them, not staying anxious, not staying avoidant, not staying blah, blah, blah. And you've talked about egg health and sperm health. You've talked about the health and the cortisol levels in both men and women. It's not just the women who bear some of the responsibility on making sure we have conception rates and healthy babies, right? It's men as well. Turns out we're about half the equation. So what have you seen with your clients that is successful in managing stress levels and relationship and attachment issues that leads to greater fertility, greater conception, healthier babies? What can couples be doing to love each other better and have better families?
Yeah, thank you for that. This is, especially in the infertility space, the first thing that happens is when we find out we're not able to conceive, is there's a rift between the majority of couples. Some people bond together immediately. It's us against the world. But what we do, all of us as humans, we have that little signal in our head. Doesn't matter if we're anxious or we're avoidant. We have that signal that says, I'm at fault here, so I'm going to internalize and I'm not going to share with my partner. And that's both extremes. It doesn't, and everywhere in the middle, you don't even have to be any extreme. And so what we need to be aware of is we're in this together and we're solving this together and we get there better together. Because what can happen is we have that rift, even when we do conceive and we haven't repaired that rift, it still stays there. So we do need to find, and then it just continues throughout parenting and going from there. And so we need to be aware that we have to work, we have to be aware we're all scared and we're in this together. First thing that happens is a woman finds out she can't get pregnant frequently is he's going to leave me for somebody who can. Same thing for the male factor. If it's a male factor, which is up to 40% of fertility cases at this point in time has a male factor component. That doesn't rule out a female factor, but it does have a male factor component. He says the same thing. She's going to leave me for someone who can get pregnant. And for men in particular, this is very emasculating. It makes them feel not like men. What are we here for? We're here to provide and support for a family. Men are that patriarch. That part of them that is a patriarch suffers when they find out they're having an issue. So what we need to do is find out how can we communicate and connect. So the first thing when it comes to the male, I'm going to start with men. So men need to be able to do the inner work for themselves, to be able to know that they are still a provider, that there are and men are solution based. And so how am I going to solve this? They go out and they search on the internet and go from there. But a big part of it is really understanding those parts of themselves and giving themselves grace, because what we've done for, to men from a very young age is we make them very independent at a very young age. All men, no matter what attachment style, at a very young age says, I'm in charge of me and nobody else is, and I'm on my own. And then they figure it out and go from there. Women have more culture of connection and community. And so women don't have that as much. So we're lucky as women. So men, I highly encourage you get into a group like Mankind Project or the like that can be men mentoring men that have done this work to be able to have you really feel solid and secure in your own space. I think that's really a wonderful thing. I have 8 coaches on my team. I have 3 men, all MKP, Mankind Project. I have 5 women, and we come together and we help men in that space. So that's what I would highly recommend. In some way, church groups do this a lot. Men's group through churches do this a lot as well. A good friend, somebody that you can connect with, even if you're an avoidant, somebody that you're going to be able to have that trust with. I know you speak on this a lot. Somebody that you can have those touch points with is really, really key. So then you can find that place within yourself that you're standing tall and be able to communicate with your female partner. Now, women, same thing. We feel the same way. It's important that we share those words with our partner. We are the ones that usually say it first, even if there's a male factor. You know, when we planned on getting married and having children, I'm worried or I'm concerned that you're going to love me less because of what's happening right now, or that this stressor is going to break us. And I'm so afraid of that. We need to find a way to say some words like that where we own them as ours. It's how we feel, and it's hard, but some little bit of I'm really scared. Saying I'm really scared doesn't even say you, me, anything. You know, we want a baby so much, and I'm really scared that this might not happen for us. That's a way to connect and just say, where you could say, me too. That's it. That connection is really key, where you've just said, okay, we're going to do everything we can. Put things on the table. You don't have to from the very beginning say, well, what about adoption? What about if it's early? You know, there's no reason to go that far unless you want to. If with my, now so I'll say ex-husband, because I have twins through infertility, and we basically, I was the avoidant, he was the anxious, and so it was a bit of a clash, and we didn't communicate in that way. So it's really important to me that I help couples in this space as well to have that thriving relationship throughout life. So if we can find a way to have those little bits of conversation, that makes all of the difference to be able to have that communication and relationship. So yes, it's key for us too, for anxious, whether it's man or woman, it doesn't matter. Finding yourself, okay, I'm feeling anxious about this, and then try to become task oriented on that so that you can try to help your partner be in that same place, that team with you, so that you can have the communication and conversation. And sometimes even saying, man, I'm so sick of talking about this. Me too. Let's go do something else. Man, let's just go to the movies. And man, I don't want to do this. Man, let's go spend a weekend doing this and just not even think about this. Can we do that? You know, something where you're just taking a break, from the heaviness, because we get in that cycle of heavy and we don't feel how we can break out of it.
2 things from this, 2 things I want to talk about. Number 1, avoidant men during times of crisis. That's why they're avoidant, is to be optimal during times of crisis, and avoidant women as well. So a lot of people, when you hit a rough patch, they anxiously attached women, for example, they think they have to pull away and not talk to him about this crisis. And all that does is make him crazy, because now he wonders what you're thinking on the inside. He wonders what you're doing, what you're going to do. He's trying to predict. He's looking at you like a specimen, trying to figure out, okay, how are you going to break and screw things up? What's going to happen? And it completely throws off the teamwork. What I've found, most of the men in my life, my buddies are avoidantly attached dudes. I tend to attract them. It's cool. But it's anytime that I've ever gone through a challenge or a crisis, I've gone to them and said, I'm really worried about something. I'm really worried that this could happen. And they always do the worst and best possible thing at the same time. They always say, well, let's play with that for a minute. What if that happens? What if the worst possible thing does happen? And I always have that reaction. I go, oh, well. And what they're trying to help me do is, okay, let's process through that. Let's talk about what's going to happen. And usually his brain starts immediately unraveling all these different possibilities of what could happen. And I just listen. I say, well, I don't know. What do you think could happen? And they'll just boom, and they go off with the 3 worst possible outcomes. And then they talk about how to mitigate those factors, about how we'd get through this or that, about how this would get solved. And I go, oh, so there's backup plans. We can actually do something about it. And they say, well, of course, you can always do something about a problem. And I say, oh, great. So I think more anxiously attached ladies out there, if you do open up to him, hey, I'm really scared. I'm really actually scared about this. I'm scared that we're not going to have a baby. Be aware that he might pop in and say, well, let's play with that. What if you can't have a baby? But he may take you there. And then if your heart palpitations can subside long enough, you could probably then have that conversation with him and say, well, what would happen? What outcomes do you see? And he'll probably say, well, I think that we would both be sad for a while. Here's what we would probably do about this. Here's what I think we would do about this. Here's how we would manage this. And if you listen to how his brain tracks out those possibilities, there's probably not a point in there where he goes, well, I'd probably leave you at this point or at this. No, he's probably going to say, here's how we would manage these challenges together. This is just a challenge for us to overcome. Let's do it. You'll probably find overwhelming amounts of relief. So number one, give that a shot. Number two, though, and I want to touch on this because I talk about something called the oxytocin pipeline, which you talked about a little bit earlier, which is you've got to fix your attachment enough that your cortisol levels come down. So your oxytocin receptors aren't blocked. They actually open up and start receiving oxytocin properly. And then you start really fostering oxytocin. Now, when a woman experiences oxytocin toward a man, typically that she's related to, romantically linked to, what happens? Well, she starts to feel desire for him, right? High levels of oxytocin, safety, connection, respect for him, bonding. All of a sudden, she feels sexual desire for him. Then foreplay starts. That's when they initiate foreplay. The role of foreplay, the reason foreplay exists is actually to make our oxytocin levels go up for male and female, right? Oxytocin levels go up as a result of foreplay. If you want to think about this mechanically, that's the role of foreplay. Once the oxytocin levels are up, now you begin intercourse. Well, her oxytocin levels are sky high at this point. And what makes a uterus contract? Turns out it's oxytocin. So oxytocin, that high level of oxytocin, leads directly into her first orgasm, which massively increases her rates of fertility and conception because it's pulling the material into the chamber and preparing it inside that uterus for a full conception. So it actually is what brings that in. And then as she does this multiple times throughout the event, she's primed for it and ready. Not only is her system low stress, low cortisol, her brain and her body and everything in her system is saying, this seems like the perfect time to get pregnant. I should maximize opportunity as much as possible. And because she's having this wonderful experience, he's having a great experience, and his stress level goes down. And now, boom, you have an incredible sexual experience that turns into absolute baby making territory, absolute ground zero for baby making. And if you do this over and over and over again, it turns out your conception rate goes pretty high. Expert, please weigh in. Is this true or false?
Oh, yeah, I have to say the literature is split on the need for an orgasm in order to conceive. So it's 50% myth busted and 50% really truly believes in it. However, that it doesn't, first of all, multiple orgasms. Who doesn't love multiple orgasms? Like, what woman would say no and what man would say no? I mean, let's just
No, thank you. I've had enough. Two is my limit.
One is good. Top off right there.
Yeah,
One and
right,
done.
correct,
That's it. Sorry, babe. That's all. No, I mean,
most women are like, no, please put a toe tag on me when I'm done. Like, let's go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, what happened? Well, babe, let me tell you, that's absolutely what we want to experience. First of all, multiple orgasms happen in some women, not in others. Perfectly fine. Some women don't have orgasms at all, 13 to 15% of the population. And we're hoping to change that, as people.
I was going to say, I've always wondered how much of that is women with anxious attachment style and very low oxytocin, because so many of the women who come into me, they've either never experienced an orgasm and they're married, or they've only ever experienced one and it was with this partner like 5 years ago. And then we start working on their attachment style and they get so much better. And all of a sudden it's happening every time with their partner. Like it's safety and on massive level of the oxytocin bonding that comes with the levels of safety and connection. So please go on.
Yeah, that's it. So basically oxytocin, when our oxytocin is high, we are more fertile because it helps with that balance of hormones. It's also anti-inflammatory. There are so many benefits to oxytocin. And also, as I said, oxytocin high, cortisol low, progesterone, estrogen normalize. So if cortisol is high, progesterone is low, and that is a recipe for non-fertility. And so if we were to focus really on that oxytocin, it's really fantastic. So nervous system safety, feeling safe and secure, feeling the way that things feel good in your body. The more oxytocin, the more expressive you'll be in the bedroom, the more he's going to be into what you're doing in the bedroom. And there you go. Then trying becomes no longer trying, right? Trying can then become fun. Trying is a struggle when you've been trying for a while to conceive and you aren't. To be able to have sex, it's basically every other day mid-cycle. And when it becomes a task for a purpose, it's not quite the same. So we do need to work on our oxytocin and the fun. And how can we throw that in there? And how can we make it more fun? There's a point in our program where we teach so much. We teach Tantra and we teach intimacy and eroticism. And so I literally have to say, remember, the sperm has to be inside of the vagina for you to get pregnant. So when you're having all of this fun playing and everything with everything that we're talking about, remember to conceive. It needs to be where it needs to go. So, this is I don't know if we're going to be able to air that, but still, it's true. I hope so, because really focus on what is that intimacy and connection, and then the baby will arrive. We'll be able to get to that point, but our partner's going to feel so good with that too. So multiple orgasms, great, because of it, an increased oxytocin and safety absolutely does do that. Orgasm is not mandatory in order to conceive. Higher oxytocin is mandatory because of all of the other parts and components that you need in order to ovulate, in order to conceive. So that I want everyone to be aware of. But to have that oxytocin and the multiple orgasms is going to help nurture your relationship. It's going to help with your bonding. It's going to make you closer, which is going to be better for you, for pregnancy, for childbearing, for parenting, for all of that.
And by the way, ladies out there, letting the avoidant man help you with that process is a great way that he can understand to take care of your emotional needs during that process. When you are fully involved and fully engaged and having one or many, whatever it might be, when he is doing that for you, he feels like he's really contributing to your well-being. He gets it. And then when you're that enthusiastic, this is something I teach, Jessica, and I'm curious to get your take on this. Is a lot of women come in and say, how do I make him bond to me in the bedroom? And I usually tell women, you're not giving him enough to do. You're just laying there letting him have his fun. And that's not fun for him. That's just him doing a job. But when you give him tasks to do that assist you, and then you have yours, and there's the explosion goes off, and you can afterward high five and say, yeah, we did this together. That vasopressin bonds him because he's now achieved a goal, right? This is why a lot of loving partners, when they really love you and you start talking to them about your orgasm process, he's like, we're going for 5 today. And she's like, I don't know if I'll survive. He's like, no. We're going to do it. And that's why they pick those arbitrary numbers when they really are open to you, is because they want to have that achievement with you and that full connection. Let them do that. Incorporate that vasopressin bond with him during this process. Have that achievement together if you like, right? You can play the little Xbox Live achievement thing, hit the noise as necessary, but let it happen. Let this joy happen in your relationship. If you're holding back, you are cutting short yourself and him, actually. And that's why he's not bonding.
Yeah, I would love to add to this. I think that what happens a lot for bedroom pleasure for people is that they're they're into a routine, especially if you've been together for a while. And if my recommendation is, if you feel yourself falling into a routine, now's the time to switch it up a little bit. Keep your routine some of the time, but switch it up a little bit otherwise. Now, it's hard sometimes to be able to have that conversation because you don't want to sound bored or like you're not being pleased. Either of you don't want to sound like, baby, maybe we should switch it up. What do you mean? Are you not loving what I'm doing? So back to the anxious and avoidant. The bottom line, no matter what your attachment style is, the bottom line is fear. You are responding the way you're responding because you're afraid that person is going to reject you. That is the bottom line. So if you can look at your partner, no matter what their attachment style is, and say, we have a mutuality here. We have the exact same fear. We just go about it a different way. We can respect the other person's attachment style better. So when it comes to going into the bedroom, I highly recommend, if you're not able to ask or say anything, I love recommending books you can read together, because then it's not something you're asking. It's something a book is telling you both mutually at the same time. So there's a great book called Your Blueprint for Pleasure, and it's about your erotic blueprints. And what this is how do you enjoy sex in the bedroom? And I'm probably not going to remember all of these. There's sensual, so that's how you feel in your body. You like more touch, candles, ambiance, more foreplay leading up, men or women. Okay. Sexual, which is kind of just going for it. You just want penis, vagina together more than anything else. There's kinky, which is things that are outside of the norm. Okay. And kinky doesn't mean it doesn't have to be wild and crazy and something, don't want to think about at all. It's just something outside of the norm. And then there's, I'm forgetting to, sensual, sexual. Okay, well, one is shapeshifter. I know I'm forgetting one. Shapeshifter is where all of the things turn you on. And so, what's really great about this book is you go through and it teaches you chapter by chapter. And the woman, it's by Jaya, Jaiya. She wrote this whole book about how do you even find your own blueprint, because you might not even know your own blueprint. So you can enter into this book with curiosity and saying everybody is the bottom line, my belief, and I know this is a common belief, everybody's a shapeshifter. Everybody likes something out of every category. And it's just a question of what is your primary category? Learn your partner's primary category. Like my partner's a sensual. And so he likes a lot more of the romance and the lead up and all of this. And so I know that about him because I had him take a quiz on the sensual blueprints or the erotic blueprints. And he did that for me because he loves me. And so he basically took it, or maybe out of curiosity, I think for a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. And so now I learned that. So now I know what it is that he needs. So I focus more of that on him and vice versa. So it's a great book if you wanted to just bring that, hey, I learned about this on a podcast today, and what do you think about reading it together? And I think there's a lot of shame that comes into the sexual space when it comes into asking. Simply, a lot of it is because of the way we were raised. Don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, until you're married. And then you're supposed to have sex. And then it's a problem if you don't, so that switch like we talked about earlier. But I think a big thing is we feel like you really need to be, it has to be very bland vanilla, and you're not supposed to think about it, talk about it, and go from there, where any little thing might be pleasurable and just play outside of your boundaries a little bit, not in an unsafe way for each of you, but where you're doing something a little bit more. Maybe you're a bedroom person and maybe you have sex in the living room instead, or the laundry room, or you go somewhere else in the house, or maybe you're used to with the lights off, maybe you put the lights on, or maybe you wear lingerie or massage candle by the bed, like we said, just something little that you each agree upon while you're reading the chapters and trying to figure out where you are, and play with each blueprint and say, let's just try an entire sensual experience together where we're both being sensual. And you read what that's about and you have a night of just being sensual. And then afterwards you say, how was that for you? How did you like that? Was that really exciting for you? And somewhere along the line, you're going to hear, wow, that was really exciting. I never even knew that was exciting to me. So discovering that part of yourself and your partner together is incredibly bonding. Vasopressin for your partner.
I was just going to say more vasopressin bonding right there.
Yep,
it's just,
exactly.
and if you really want to get into it, wear a white lab coat with safety glasses the whole time, right?
That's in your kinky blueprint right there. You can
see,
go ahead
there
and
you
bring
go.
That one in,
with a clipboard and everything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But this is, if a woman goes to her husband, most women, they're probably listening to this like, okay, well, maybe, I don't want to bother him. And like anyone else in the world, right? You go to your husband. He'll love it. I want to have more sex with you and do new things with you and have wild, passionate nights with you and just until you can't escape anymore. So I'm just going to do this and we're going to have a great time. I don't think he's likely to say, that sounds pretty awful and like a burden. I don't really think he's going to be like, well, where is this coming from? Great phrasing right here to tag in is, I want to share new things with you.
I like that.
I want to share new experiences with you. I enjoy our connection so much that I want to grow that connection and have new things that we do together. Right? Great phrasing to bring in.
Yeah. And, if I could just throw in this whole aspect of when these men are in this space, and avoidant men and anxious women, for any avoidant man that is watching, I want you to understand the concept of aftercare. So especially for women that are anxious, this is when sex is over, what does aftercare look like? And it doesn't have to be a lot, but that's where you're going to meet your anxious female really, really well. Because a lot of it is, once a man has his orgasm, the energy is gone, the bond is fairly quickly broken at that point, and women frequently want to have a lot more snuggle time, cuddle time, something. So there should be a communication, and it'd be great if the avoidant man could actually pay attention. You don't even have to ask, but if you do ask and mean the world to your anxious woman, what does aftercare look like for you? This is what aftercare is. How much snuggling do you need? And it can sound very cold and clinical when you first talk about it, because it's okay, 5 minutes of aftercare, don't get caught watching the clock, but at the same time, if it's, you need snuggling for this long, or you need to be, or you both get up if it's in the morning and have coffee together and just having a conversation for 20 minutes or something, whatever that aftercare looks like. So it's not cut so quickly away from that partner of, okay, bam, we're done. And that person feels abandoned in that space. So aftercare is a really important thing, and it doesn't have to take long. It has to be whatever those needs are that your partner needs.
Yeah, this is a massive quality of life improvement for most couples, is aftercare. For many women, especially when they get in the routine with a partner, it's like it being hit by a car. There's a big bang, and then he keeps going. And that's really what happens when you slow down for a moment, right? You pause the car and you spend 5 minutes, right? You spoon for 5 minutes, or you just lay there, let her rest her head on your chest. You just kind of listen to her. You've unloaded with her. Now she is going to unload with you. Think of it that way. The most famous lover in all of history, Casanova, actually, what he accredited his success to women with wasn't his activities before or during. It was actually after. He said that the number one thing that made him so popular with women was that he would prop himself up on pillows and rest himself like this, so that even if he fell asleep, he would look like he was listening, and the women would talk and talk and talk and feel close to him. And then, of course, they would come back later because they felt so close to him after. The aftercare is really that major piece that loops around. Like you said earlier, it's the end of intercourse until the beginning of the next intercourse. That is foreplay. And it absolutely is. Aftercare is foreplay for the next time. It's setting it up. It's building her that oxytocin level so that she is high oxytocin. She's ready to go again. Many times this aftercare leads into round number 2, but it at least leads into a happier day, a happier night, better sleep, better everything for everybody involved, higher fertility, everything. So guys, aftercare takes 5-10 minutes maximum. It could take longer, but 5-10 minutes of you just kind of listening and just kind of letting her snuggle on you, you snuggle her, just do it for 5 minutes. Your next sexual experience will be so much more positive as a result. And most ladies out there right now, I've talked about aftercare quite a bit here on this channel before, Jessica. About maybe a year ago, I had a big thing where I talked about it quite a lot. And I was astounded at how many women out there had never heard of it before, didn't know that it was okay to ask for, and had felt embarrassed even needing to snuggle after sex. And that's not okay, actually. No. We need to get to a place where it is okay to ask for that love, ask for that care, and that it's for a couple. It's a lot more normal.
Well, and it's not even an emotional, this has nothing to do with attachment style. This has to do with secure nervous system. This has to do with what your body and physiology needs to feel safe. And I think we have to be very aware that, yes, we are in our heads a lot and in our hearts a lot, and we're thinking a lot. But at the same time, we need to honor what our body needs. And our body does need that aftercare. Our body needs to feel safe with the person that we're being intimate with. This is we're allowing someone to enter our body. We need to feel that level of connection, and we should want that level of connection. And if we're not receiving it, we need to figure out how we can get that. And our partners, especially men, are problem solvers. Say, this is what I need, especially when we're not coming at it from emotional space. This is what I need. How I need to figure out how I can feel this way. Can you help me with this? I'm not feeling safe at the end. And the I don't know is okay. Like when men say, what are you thinking? Or whatever it might be. I don't know is okay, because we don't necessarily know. But if you don't, you can ask for assistance. I'm not exactly sure why I'm feeling this way. Can we just have this conversation? Because I need to kind of pull it apart and see why.
Guys, we'll make it really simple. Okay. You know who doesn't do aftercare? Vikings. You know who does aftercare? Italian men. And you know who women love? Italian men. My Italian father told me so. So guys, do a little bit of aftercare, switch from a Viking to an Italian man. Your life will go a lot farther and you will find a loving romantic relationship that can last. That's what we've got to build. So Jessica, thank you so much for being here today. Any last thoughts that you want to give to women out there who are thinking about conception, thinking about fertility, listening to this and thinking, how can I have this conversation with my husband to make sure that we have a healthy baby? What can I do different? Any last thoughts of encouragement?
I think remembering that you are a team and remembering that your partner also knows that you're a team. You really are. You're in this together. Remember that you're both coming from the same place of fear. So and we hand that off, right? Some of us are more afraid on Monday and they're less afraid on Monday, but they're more afraid on Tuesday and we're less afraid on Tuesday. We kind of pass this back and forth, but we still have the same level of concern in that space of abandonment or of not getting our needs met, which is what we need in order to feel safe. We need that safety in order to have the appropriate balance of hormones for healthy, happy conception and to continue our relationship for the rest of our lives. And that is our mutual goal. And so remember, you're in it together, and take a leap, even if it's a little one. See what you can do in that space to start a conversation, and they'll pick up the gauntlet, I promise.
I love this. Jessica, everybody out there needs to find you immediately and talk to you, whether they are trying to conceive or just wanting to have fun with their partner. They need to come find you. Please tell them where they can find you, including your TV show that I was just on not too recently.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for that. So we're Denovo Fertility. So it's Denovo fertility.com. That's the best way to reach us. You can see our programs there. We're expanding our programs beyond fertility for general wellness and health. So you can always reach us through there to get on a call. We do have a great promotional Healthy Baby. Year of the Healthy Baby is 2025. And we have that for your listeners today with a nice discount off of, it's about 25% discount off of our Happy Healthy Fertility solution. So that's called Baby Basics. So welcome to join us there. Our television show is called The New Health. It's on nowmedia.tv/The New Health, which is always streaming. Otherwise, we are southern states right now. We're like Texas, Louisiana, Florida. It's expanding beyond that. And we're talking about all things health and wellness as people are getting sicker and sicker at younger ages. We're bringing in specialists like yourself to come in and talk about how can we help people truly heal and be healthy and well and live long, healthy lives. So please view there as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
We're on all socials. We're on all socials. If you look at Denovo Fertility, we're out there.
If people want to DM you straight, where can they find you?
So we have an email. It's hello@denovofertility.com. So you can go ahead and send me something right there. Otherwise, if you send us anything, Instagram, I believe, is Denovo_fertility. Instagram is great. Facebook also the same.
Beautiful. I'll tag all of that below in the description. All that's going to be collab tagged over on Instagram as well, so we can make sure people get to you. Yeah, check out her Healthy Baby program. There's going to be a nice, sweet discount for the people here because she wants to help us, and she wants to help each one of you have a healthy baby. Jessica, what was your goal? You and I had dinner when I was out there filming for your TV, and you told me a number. How many healthy babies was it?
We want 1 million healthy babies, but once we have 10,000, we can demonstrate that our program actually works, because we want to be the Framingham Heart Study of healthy baby. So once we have that data put together, we'll be able to go out to the masses and really make sure everybody knows this is the way to have a healthy baby.
Beautiful. Jessica Preston, the lady who's having 10,000 healthy babies. That baby could be one of yours. So please get in contact with her. Drop comments below. I would love to hear from you guys. This was a conversation that's been a long time coming. So many of you have asked these questions. So many of you have these needs. And I wanted to make sure that we take care of you here today. So Jessica, thank you so much for helping me take care of this community.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam.